let's do the last flow where I'm going to be completely owning it. And, you know, this one is actually going to be, I'm going to try to be slow and try to keep everybody on track because there's multiple parties involved. Okay. We're going to go with the release order, value-added services execution, forwarding, etc. So I'm going to go with the mouse. Okay. First of all, customer service, she's going to receive a service request and she's going to create a release order for the warehouse with the needed materials and dates. Okay. She's going to, as she has been informed by the customer, she's going to create a work order for the value-added services. Okay, in order to pack those materials into 1 metric ton bags. And then she's going to create a transport order for the forwarding department. So from within this step, 2 parallel work streams are going to happen. First of all, on the warehouse side, we're going to basically plan the resources needed according to the work orders created. The warehouse operations is going to receive the work order associated with the value-added services operation, and you're going to mark it as completed once it's done. And then the service delivery planner, she's going to execute the customs clearance process from the release order. Okay. Then I'm going to pick up on the forwarding department. They will basically log into a different app, the TMS, and from their home screen, they're going to take a look at the pending to plan transport orders. We're going to navigate to the transport order. We're going to explain the concepts from the transport order, similarly as we did with the warehouse deposit and the shipment. And then we're going to query for available rates in the system in order to select the carrier. We're going to send a booking request. Okay. After carrier confirmation, I'm going to create the shipment associated with that release order, and I'm going to create an electronic CMR. I know, at least Argent, you were familiar with the TransFollow app and the electronic CMR initiative that it's actually happening in Netherlands. So we're going to use that electronic CMR in order to execute the transport order and you know, show additional capabilities for track and trace purposes for ground transportation. Anyway, after creating the CMR, I'm on step number 9. I'm going to basically take over as a service delivery planner. I'm going to assign resources to the shipping work orders that have been created on shipment generation. Then I'm going to execute the shipping work order. And I'm going to create the goods dispatch note. And after all, I'm going to switch to a tablet and portray the carrier executing the shipment and collecting digitally the proof of load and log in an exception from the TransFollow app. I'm going to showcase from the customer service perspective how they can access that data that gets collected in the field as well. And then I'm going to create the invoice for the amount overdue, including transportation, storage, customs clearance, and value-added services. Arc linker activated warehouse deposit. Just one thing, in order to kind of complete, we've taken a look at most of the tabs. Another remark that it's basically a platform capability is the auditing. So we can keep track of all the different fields in a record. Okay, we can flag them as I want to be tracked. So we can basically track their changes, you know, with a timestamp and see who did what. Okay, so this basically allows us to keep track of the flow of information within the system. So in my Glencore warehouse deposit, I'm basically going to create a release order for all the goods. I have, now that I've activated, I can see that there's a release order button here that will launch basically a workflow in which we will be able to do a couple of things. So first of all, on the top section, this release order could be tied to a shipment that is going to be hauled or contracted by the customer, or they could actually be requesting ourselves the means of the transportation of these goods. So as this is the case, what I'm going to do is click on Manage Transport. I'm going to add in the address from our database of addresses. I'm going to add the Incoterm of this transportation, the AP. I'm going to adding, the different transport details that are requested in here. So it's going to be a full truckload road. The release date of the goods is going to be as well just today, and it's going to be shipped out I don't know, this evening, and customer wants to receive these goods by 8. On the second section of the screen, we can see the deposit lines, okay? And we can select the amount that we are about to release. In this case, it's the whole thing. And down below, we can add value-added services, as many as necessary. Okay, if I click on the add, I can add in the crushing, the blending, whatever. So I'm going to select from the work type, select for the different work types pre-set up in the system. I have packing and blending, and I'm going to select the packing. All the work orders, they need to happen at a terminal. Okay, so that's something that is mandatory from the system. And I'm going to actually, set this up for today as well. So we're going to streamline this, and we can add in a description as well. Okay, as I said, we could add additional value-added services, or we could add, different works to this execution. So the output of this process is, it has several outputs. Okay. So first of all, we can see the release order with the details that we've populated, such as the account, warehouse, ship to address, the Incoterms, etc. We see as well the Salesforce functionality with regards to the chatter and activity, which is basically omnipresent throughout the org, the release order lines, and we can see that there's also a transport order associated with this release order. I'll pick up on that later on as a forwarding user. Okay, but let's just say that this transport order is already in there, and it's on their pool in order for them to plan it. We haven't got any shipments yet because the transport order is pending to be planned and assigned, and we have the packing work order that we were creating previously. Okay. Of course, now what we would do is basically go to dispatching console, assign the work order, and I guess that down the road there will be a user that is the one that is going to planning the resources that are being created from the different users' perspective. So there will be like several users that will be in charge of that. However, I think that I want to just execute this one on the desktop interface. And actually, that's not a bad idea to show you a little bit additional features from the work order perspective. So this is the work order as it looks like in Salesforce, or in the desktop, sorry. In here, we can see all the different details. Okay, everything that can be related will be related. In this case, we have a release order. Okay. And we have the plan time, and then we can log in the actual execution dates with the work start, work end, etc. One thing that I wanted to show is the possibility, and I think that I'm going to basically explain the idea of the work plan again. So this packing work type has a packing release order work plan associated with one work step. It wouldn't really make sense in here, but of course, from a planner perspective, we can add additional work plans to a work order. So tying back to the conversation with regards to the receiving of the goods from within this screen, we could potentially add a gas measurement work plan, okay, to one of the containers, or we could set up different work plans for random testing purposes, okay. It would be a matter of defining which ones would be appropriate to set up. However, as it doesn't really make sense for this one, I'm going to not add any additional work plan. And just as I did from the mobile environment, as you guys can see, this is a pretty similar interface. So in case, instead of seeing it from the mobile environment, we're seeing from the desktop environment, in which we can basically add in the details prompted by the screen. So there's going to be 50 packages at 1 metric ton. So each one of these is going to weigh 1,000 kilograms, and its packaging type is 1 metric ton bag, etc. And I don't want to continue packing, so I'm going to confirm and navigate back to the release order. So again, Salesforce, everything is clickable. We can see how that automatically updates the release order lines from. So we know that we're going to ship 50 1 metric ton bags. And we're going to execute customs clearance, okay, for this release order. So let me launch the customs clearance workflow from the release order, okay. In here, we would see all the release order lines, okay, the famous ferromolybdenum with the lot and the amount that we're about to release and its customs clearance status, okay. So as it's not being cleared, I can create a new document. We only log customs clearance status, okay. We don't do customs calculations, so it's rather basic. We're about to include an additional partner in order to do customs clearance, where we would pull that information from, but this is just purely in order to be able to liberate the cargo from the bonded warehouse, okay. Okay, so I'm going to basically fill in the information. I don't really want the information. No, not 1 million. So I'm just going to save. I'm going to change my hat to the forwarding department briefly. So I'm going to basically, navigate to the TMS app. And in here, we can see a slightly different dashboard. Again, we leverage Salesforce stuff, such as the chatter, the tasks. We can put in additional information that could be relevant to the user that is logging in. And if I refresh the dashboard, I'm going to see there's a newly created transport order that I need to take care of, okay? So these would be my workflow or my pool of orders that I need to plan. And I'm going to select the top one because I need to plan that out, okay? So transport order, it has a slightly similar interface than the shipment, okay? We have the status path, we have different features, so we can have the map with track dedicated route, okay? All the information here has been pulled from the release order, of course. So we see the route that a truck would need to basically follow. We see different freight details, the route details with the origin, destination, schedule data, and then some main parameters. We have activity chatter nodes. We have seen that already enough. We have additional functionality for distance calculation specific for trucks. Next up, we would have the cargo lines. This is being picked up from the release order. So we have the one cargo line of 50 1 metric ton bags. We have not any containers, and there's services in here as well, okay? So what I'm going to do is, in order to plan this transport order, I'm going to say it as unplanned, and I'm going to search for services in my database with a pretty similar interface than the one that we saw previously, okay? So I'm going to search for services that are applicable from Rotterdam to Duisburg, okay? So in this case, we're looking for road FTL services, but in here we could change as well in order to look for ocean full container load rates created in the system, etc. So I'm going to look by product on the different rates created in the system. So let's see the rates that we have per distance. So in here we have two different rates. One would be from DHL, the other one would be from Transportation Services Europe. We can see that they are listed under different rate books, and basically they are the applicable rates for 206 kilometers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the one that I want to use. Okay. And this new interface is applied. Okay. So in here, what we're doing is pulling the information from the rate and from the order. So if we're pricing per kilometer, we have 206 kilometers at that list price of 2.45. I can add in here a sell price. We could calculate this as well from markup policies from customer. So that would need to be defined. But there's several interactions that we could set up with regards to service creation. Okay. I can add any comments in here as well in order to let another user know about why did I choose this carrier, for instance, whatever. And all the different services, they will get created in here. We can add additional services, surcharges, fuel surcharges, whichever, okay? I'm not sure if I'm going to find a rate, but yeah, not a problem. If there are no rates in the system, I can basically add it in because, you know, I received via email or whatever the price as well from the carrier. Okay, so not only we can work from rates already existing in the system, we can also as well adding spot prices as well. Okay. So now that I've selected the carrier, I can see that it's right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create the shipment. Okay. Okay, let me streamline with shipment creation. I've received the carrier confirmation. He's handed me a bill of lading number, a booking number. I'm going to create the shipment with the approximate times that he has handed to me by logging in the information that the system prompts me. Okay, so this is going. A ver. So I'm going to determine the amount of cargo that is going to be listed under this transport. So this one would be possibly, for instance, 10 metric or 1 metric ton bags. And that's how we create the shipment. Okay, if we navigate to the shipment itself, this is the same screen with which we started the whole workflow. We see now that there's a transport order actually related to it. There's a release order related to it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the CMR directly from within this screen into the TransFlow app. Okay. Sorry about that. Let me actually add in a small description. That's my bad. And yeah, the reason for which I wanted to do this is because we have an integration with TransFlow. Okay. I've already created a CMR in TransFlow in order to execute this from a mobile device in their TransFlow app. So this is an international consignment role. I can see all the different details that have that they've been pulled from the shipment and from the transport order itself with the goods description, etc. And we will see how this information gets automatically populated from digital transactions from the tablet as well. Okay. So what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to actually issue this because I'm happy with the information that I've populated, and I'm going to skip the shipping work order because it's basically the same thing. Okay, it's a work order. I can do it with the field services app. this transport order or this shipment that has been assigned to me with the, that needs to be executed today. I don't know how far familiar are you guys with the transfer app. Okay, I'm just going to do a couple of things in order to show you how it digitally interacts with the Salesforce environment, but I'm not going to do the whole thing, okay? But basically, this is connected with Salesforce, so every piece of information that I collect in here will be able to be showed later on in Salesforce. So I'm just basically logging different events on the pickup, and I'm just going to basically sign the proof of load, okay? Collect and consigner. And I'm going to add a piece of information because there's a couple of things that I want to highlight, okay? So, sorry. I can add a picture as well from within here, and this will get logged into the CMR as well. So, and I'm going to confirm the freight details, and there's several sign-on methods. I'm just going to go with the quick one. If I continue next, I'm basically confirming the information that the user is getting prompted in the screen. So I'm going to, before signature, I can see a summary of the details that have been logged in here. So the two warnings that I added, one with a picture on it. I can proceed to signature and give back the phone to the carrier, and then the CMR automatically changes the status. So what I just wanted to show in here is that all this data, I can basically see it from the Salesforce environment in real time, and all the different versions of the PDF that gets that is being basically transacted in the app gets automatically updated in Salesforce as well, with the different comments that have been done, with the different events and the different pictures that are taken in the transfer app. So really the reason for me showing this is that it allows to streamline invoicing, because you have a directly, once the proof of delivery is signed on the transfer app, you automatically have it here, so you can basically invoice the customer. Let me just go back to the release order. So I'm just going to create the invoice for all the services logged in, okay, and complete the workflow. We can add in here additional details for the users to log in, okay. And basically what this is going to do is going to pull from all the different services that we've listed in the different pieces of the application. It's going to create invoices for it, okay. Just to recap, the release order process, including execution of value-added services, including a slight glimpse of the TMS, interesting questions that we would need to fit for in the future, and then that shipment execution and how that would streamline invoice generation, and how those invoices are directly tied to the warehouse deposit and can be accessed directly from within there.